The Titans have a shot to become the first number 6 seed to make it to the Super Bowl since the Packers did it back in 2010. The Chiefs, they're looking to make it back to the big dance for the first time since Super Bowl IV. We have all kinds of predictions for this game ahead, but we also have all kinds of stats that will help you form a prediction of your own. First off, a quick recap of the first time these two met up, which took place back in Week 10.
Oh, Henry stepping through a tackle, and he's taken off. Ward is chasing after him. He won't get there. Touchdown, Tennessee.
It was a 35-32 Titans win, though it was in Tennessee. Derrick Henry led the Titans' offensive charge, rushing for 188 yards and 2 TDs. That game was one of 8 this year that Henry has rushed for 100-plus yards, regular season and playoffs combined, and that's the Titans' magic number, because every time he's eclipsed the century mark on the ground, which he did again last week, they've won.
And there goes Derrick Henry! Henry has got major speed for a big man!
Henry once again came close to putting up 2 bills in a game, and again played the central role in the Titans' offensive output in their playoff win against Baltimore. The big boys leading the way for Henry should get a lot of credit. Pro Football Focus ranked them as the 8th best O-line in the league this year. But to no one's surprise, the key to stopping Henry is being able to take him down, as he led the league in yards after contact this season.
Handoff, Henry. Henry takes it to the outside. Oh, the stiff arm twice on Thomas, and he's out of bounds. First down run.
So that, of course, brings us to KC's defense. They were tied for 17th in missed tackles as a unit, but they only faced the 17th most rush attempts, so their ability to tackle wasn't necessarily against running backs. And they didn't allow just Henry to gash them this year.
And he adds to it. Adds another 15 to it, 158 now.
They've allowed most ball carriers to gash them this year. As most fans are aware of, KC's run D has been one of the worst in the league, not just this season, but the last few. The Texans even put up 4.5 yards a run against them last week, though the way the game played out, they didn't have to face all that many runs, especially in the second half, when the Texans were playing catch-up, which forced them to abandon their ground game. And that's KC's general formula, because if you can't stop their passing attack, you usually get behind on the scoreboard. And then you're trying to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and company, which we saw last week, doesn't tend to work out.
Pass call on the run for the touchdown, Damian Williams.
Mahomes' divisional round performance was spectacular, and so was Travis Kelce's, who played the lead role in their offensive explosion this time around. KELCE has made yet another Pro Bowl this season after coming up 3 receptions short of 100 while going for more than 1,200 receiving yards.
Open field for a moment. He may have been past the line of scrimmage. It's called a touchdown.
So what will he be up against when he faces Tennessee? The Titans have not been especially strong against tight ends. They allowed the 7th most yards to the position, so that was a statistical weakness of theirs throughout 2019.
Shovel pass goes for a touchdown to KELCE.
KELCE himself caught 7 passes for 75 yards and a score against them in round 1. Mahomes also had little trouble against the Titans in that game. He threw for 446 yards, 3 TDs, putting up a passer rating of 119.2, and he was able to find TYREEK Hill with ease throughout the game.
A lot of air under that, and look who chases it down. TYREEK Hill with the touchdown.
Hill caught 11 passes for 157 yards and a score. And then on top of all that, Tennessee gave up over 500 total yards to Baltimore last week, 345 of those passing yards. So their secondary would appear vulnerable against the Chiefs' vaunted passing attack. But within all those numbers are 2 that show you just how Tennessee has gotten the job done this season.
Tosses high and intercepted. Off the deflection, it's Kevin Byard. And the Titans come up with a turnover.
The Titans picked off Lamar Jackson twice, and while the Titans' D didn't rank overly high in most passing metrics, they did tie for the 10th most takeaways, tying for the 8th most interceptions. And then there were those 4th down attempts.
Jackson trying to get there.
Tennessee kept the Ravens from converting 4 times on 4th down, which was essentially like coming up with an additional 4 turnovers. And stopping teams on 3rd and 4th down was another Titans' defensive strength this year, not just in that game. They were 8th best on both fronts.
Incomplete. That time Jackson broke it up.
Their ability to force punts helped them keep teams out of the red zone. They tied for the 9th fewest red zone attempts allowed. And that, of course, keeps teams off the scoreboard. They gave up 20.7 points a game, good for 12th best.
Brady's pass is intercepted and returned for a touchdown.
So their defense overall has relied on the domino effect, using takeaways and third down defense to keep teams off the board. In short, they've been great at being opportunistic. And that's exactly how you describe their passing offense.
Tannehill looks for the home run ball. Separation! Khalif Raymond hauls it in!
Ryan Tannehill hasn't thrown for 100 yards in either of their playoff wins, which is pretty remarkable and symbolic of their offensive approach. Tannehill started 12 games, and in 5 of those, he had 20 pass attempts or fewer. Tannehill himself only averaged 228.5 passing yards a game, which ranked 25th. But remember, one of the games he had fewer than 20 pass attempts was in that win over KC, and that performance is sort of considered his coming out party for this season.
There they go! And he's across for the touchdown! Adam Humphries!
Plus, even though Tannehill has taken a backseat to Henry in the offense, he's excelled in other areas. He had the best passer rating in the entire league and a completion rate over 70%, which makes these next batch of stats that much more impressive. First in yards per attempt and first in yards per completion.
Tannehill tosses, end zone. Oh! Jonnu Smith, touchdown!
So he hasn't just been good when he throws, he's been good throwing deep too. But the Chiefs would love nothing more than to see him throwing a lot, as that would play into the strength of its defense.
Get a chance to find someone fighting for his life, and he's going to be brought down.
The Chiefs sacked Deshaun Watson 4 times, and they had the 11th most QB takedowns on the year, Frank Clark and Chris Jones leading the way. Jones, by the way, missed that first game against the Titans. And as good as the Titans' line was this year, their strength was in run blocking, not necessarily pass blocking. Only 2 teams allowed more sacks than the Titans, though some of that is due to their vertical game, which obviously needs time to develop, which makes them a little sack prone. And as far as KC's secondary, sure, they gave up a lot of yards to Watson, but again, it was all pass all the time for most of the second half. The Chiefs on the year have been very good against the pass by most metrics.
Rivers steps up to the end zone. Oh no! Intercepted by Sorensen!
Maybe the most important when facing Tannehill, their ability to take away the big play. They tied for 8th fewest pass plays of 20-plus yards allowed. Okay, before we go, these two put on quite a show the last time they faced each other in the playoffs.
Now he's going to scramble for the end zone, pump faking, fires late, it's knocked down and caught by Mariota, and stretches for a touchdown!
The Titans eking out a 1-point win 2 years ago as they staged a huge second-half comeback. But that wasn't the first time they've met in the playoffs. Some QB named Joe Montana leading the Chiefs to a win over the then Houston Oilers back in 1993. So who do you like in the rubber match? King Henry against a porous KC rush D? Or will Mahomes get things going early, forcing Tannehill and company to try and keep up track meet style? You have plenty of numbers that will help you decide on the score. Last week, no one hit 51-31 on the Texans-Chiefs game preview YouTube message board, but 5 people had the Chiefs scoring 50+. Cody coming out the closest with a 59-31 prediction. I see you, Cody. So keep posting your scores and analysis. For now, here's the scores our folks came up with.
Williams, he's in! Touchdown, Kansas City. It's 3rd and goal. Mahomes to KELCE, and another touchdown for Kansas City.